everyone, this is Persephone, and this is going to be a very black-pilled video, so buckle up, because patience is not among my many gifts, and I believe it's great to point the things that no one else wants to admit, because that's what's going to help you. Recently, because I started that goddamn AMWF group, like I really cares the time and the moment that I decided it, I was hit again with a tsunami of realization about the tragic situation of men who actually have active families and they are not like Zoomers and people who practically live online. And by active families, I mean if I had $1 every time an Asian man or Indian man or any man from traditional culture, could be a white man from a conservative rural area too, told me that my parents are bitching that I should get married, I would be a billionaire. I wouldn't even be on YouTube, I would be in Hawaii or something. And there is a flaw with this kind of brainwashing. I consider that the live script is some kind of pyramid scam, that the people who are inside, they try to recruit more members to make them miserable, and the one who profits is society. You don't profit and the recruiters don't profit either, but for some reason it continues. What do I mean? Every time I ask one of those men who is airing their grievances to me about why they cannot be married, if their parents are in a happy marriage, usually they look at me like baffled, or they say no, or they say they don't even talk to each other at home, or they say my dad had affairs all of his life. And you would expect that if you did someone that fucked up your life royally, you wouldn't want your kids to go through the same. Like, I don't have kids, I don't know if I'm ever going to have. If I did, they would probably be adopted because I come from a mental illness dynasty and I don't want that passed down. But if I had a kid, or if I had to care for a kid, I would make sure that the things that happened to me would not have happened to the kid, to the best of my abilities. So if I consider that going to college to study some nonsense is not worth it, I would say that to the kid. I wouldn't stop them if they wanted to go and study, let's say, gender studies and feminism, but I would say that, unless you want to be a medical doctor or something like that, I don't think you should get into student debt for something that you can study alone. Yet all of these parents, they say to their son, you should get married, we need kids, we need grandkids, who is going to take care of you? And today I'm going to analyze this so much that if you're ambivalent, I'm going to open your eyes and save you, because literally your life is on the line. This video is, the information is going to be life-changing. And this is not information I came up with. It's stuff that I read and researched for a very long time to primarily save myself. So the problem starts way before the marriage conversation. It starts from when you were born. And if you come from cultures that promote feminization diets, for example, feeding you soy, feeding you GMO, feeding you junk food, and let you sit around with video games, or not letting you do sports, and long story short, because of the way they raised you, you are 5 feet tall, you're 400 pounds, and also it was an arranged marriage. Your dad had a micro penis, no one ever told you that, and you have that too. You don't know it, or you realized when you went to the sauna with him, if you're Korean, let's say, but it is what it is. Or if it's not a micro penis, we support science in this channel. The minimum medically normal penis size starts from 5 inches or 12 centimeters. Look it up if you don't believe me. So if you are below that, even if you're not in the 1 inch micro penis scale, there is a serious problem. The problem is that you cannot sexually satisfy women with that size. Now I know, I bet my life, and I'm someone that I value my life, that a man is going to come to my channel and say, oh, shut the fuck up, loose bitch. Women can be satisfied even with a pinky finger, so why do we need size? And I would ask this man, did you know that you can actually survive in a cage eating grasshoppers, or you can survive in a stranded island eating dead raccoons? There are people that they were in this situation, they survive. I think I would survive too if I had to eat grasshoppers. Do I want to go live in the wilderness and eat grasshoppers just because I'm going to survive? No. So if I can have an orgasm from a pinky finger, why would I limit myself to that? Especially if you have to be married to someone and you have to be exclusive with them. You don't want grasshoppers day, evening, night, as lunch, as supper, you know what I mean. So their argument is not completely wrong, but it's sophistry. It doesn't give you you cannot realize the problem. If you want something more tangible, imagine masturbating and touching only the tip of your penis and never any other part of it. And tell me if this doesn't feel like torture. That's the closest I can think of to having sex with a very small penis. So So your parents not only made you disabled in looks, disadvantaged is a better word, but also they gave you zero social skills to socialize with women. If I see one more person promoting cold approach, I'm going to, I want to report them to Interpol. Cold approach is essentially sexual harassment unless you are A, a celebrity, B, an athlete, 3, extremely handsome. Never, ever, ever attempt cold approach if you're ugly or fat or below average. You're just going to be arrested and labeled a sex offender, especially if you are in areas with like high criminality where women massively report. So what happens is that your parents, they make sure you are this forever ninja type, you don't associate with any females. Your dad possibly had no skills either, so he cannot teach you anything masculine. Your mom wants to emasculate you, to have you as emotional tampon, / chauffeur, / wallet, / substitute husband, because your husband is like has checked out long ago, so aka emotional incest. So you go to college, or you get a job, and because you are still 19, 20, 21, the topic of marriage doesn't come up. And weeks turn into months, turn into years. In the meantime, you cope, watching pornography, eating junk food, hanging out with other friends and incels too. And one day, you cross a line. If you are Chinese, that could be 25. If you are white, you have a few more years of like before the hysteria hits in, like 30. If you're Indian, could be earlier. So one day there is the talk where your parents summon you and they say, we're very, very worried that you cannot get married. Obviously, there has been no conversation about the fact that every time you sign on Tinder or other apps, you get bots and OnlyFans seller, that when you try to talk to women, they avoid you, or they tell you the usual, oh, you make a great like woman happy one day. Every time I hear this, like, oh my god, I just tell to the guy, I'm not attracted to you like I do, and I get death threats, but at least I can sleep at night knowing I didn't lie to the guy. Or you try to have sex and the woman started laughing at your penis. You try to have sex and you ejaculated instantly because of, death grip and pornography. You try to pay for sex and still nothing happened. I have heard these stories hundreds of times, so if you can relate to any of them, it's very common. I'm telling you, like, I cannot really say I'm a substitute therapist because I don't want to be. On the contrary, I encourage people to go to therapy, but people feel comfortable to share this stuff, and this is stories that I hear on a daily basis. One variation. Like, I went to this escort and she started laughing and things were over before they began and she took the $100 and I left. Am I still a virgin? The answer is yes. So what happens is that all of a sudden they tell you that not only you need to marry when you had like zero life experience, like if this was a game, your stats would be you can't even play tutorial in relationships, but you also have to breed. And at this point between you and me, we don't even know if you're not even infertile. Did you know that 40% of the infertility cases globally are male related, that your sperm is weak or deformed or you don't produce any, just the sperm fluid? So at first you don't really pay a lot of attention and you go on with your life. 1 more year is passing, 2nd year is passing. At this point, the concern starts to be amplified. If you have a brother or relatives in your social circle that they are more handsome and they are already married, the comparisons begin that, look, so-and-so had a son, what about you? Or so-and-so met this woman, what about you? And then your mother usually starts to play matchmaker, and her best friend's sister's mother-in-law's dog has a dog owner who's a very cute girl. Maybe you want to meet her, and either the girl is some kind of scammer who wants a visa or something, or she takes one look at you and she leaves, or she's someone that is so atrociously looking that you would think you would become gay or become like join a monastery than be with her. So you're going to say, okay, Persephone, I have depression, you achieved it for today, what do we do? There is only one way to win in this game, because it's a rigged game, and that is to not play it. And by not playing it, I mean the live script is a scam. A scam in the sense of it doesn't apply to everyone. It's promoted as something that we have been brainwashed to think that it's going to make everyone happy. And that belief started after the 50s. And if I tell you why it started, you're going to be shocked. In America, the land of the free and the land of capitalism, banks wanted to sell huge houses. Now you're going to say she has schizophrenia, what do houses have to do with any of this? I don't have schizophrenia yet, just bear with me. Banks did research and they found out that if you have a mortgage for a house that is at least 20 years, usually something bad happens to you in those 20 years, so you cannot pay it off, so there is a foreclosure, the bank takes back the house, resells it, and you're left to die homeless. So there was this huge promotion of the white picket fence, dream of a man, usually white, with a woman, 1.8 kids, the dog, and a huge house that is big enough for 30 people, but only you are going to live there. And until up to 50 years ago, like before that time, it was very, very normal for thousands of years that not every man is going to get married. That there were men who chose to become castrated and serve as eunuchs. That there were men who were asexual. There were men who joined monasteries. There were men that they wanted to be married. They had to earn the right. They had to go to war. They have to make money, purchase property, provide, and so on. All that is lost now. And you're being told the thing that, you are the same as everybody else. That although you don't even feel like you want to get married, you don't even know if you want kids, or even worse, you don't want them. You think about them and you're overwhelmed, or you have some kind of mental illness, depression, autism, something else. Or you have a micropenis. And micropenises are genetic. If you have it, someone in your family also has it and passed it down to you. You have to live the exact same life as billions of other people on the planet. People of other races, people of other backgrounds, people of other body types. Doesn't that sound like one big freaking scam? The problem with this is that if you try to explain to your parents, they're not going to listen. Because the way they cope with their own failed, miserable life is that by telling themselves, that's a very powerful argument they tell themselves at night, that's what everybody does. Which is, my father also says it. He says, you have kids, and your kids have kids, and the kids of their kids have kids, and this is like the circle of life. Like a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, it lays eggs, it dies. I aspire to think that I have more IQ than a caterpillar, and they can choose to break the circle or start a new circle or just opt out altogether. And you can do the same. So the first thing you need to do is start working on a plan to become financially independent. I say that because I don't know how abusive and how toxic your parents are, or whoever is pressuring you and nagging you all day is. They could be from mildly abusive, soon to be senile boomers, to total psychos. So you need to have financial security. Once you get financial security, the second step is going to therapy. Because usually if you have been raised this way, you have no idea who you are. You have absolutely no idea what you want. If you're even straight or gay, if you have fetishes, if you actually want to be married, you don't know any of that. Because you're too busy surviving your shit environment. If you do go to therapy and you start to figure things out, the next step is to actually decide how much contact you are going to have with your parents. I feel genuinely sorry, and I'm not a person with a lot of empathy. It took me years to feel sorry. From people with actual enmeshed culture. Enmeshed culture, Indian, Asian, Eastern European in some cases, redneck white, African. Any culture can have enmeshment. What's enmeshment? It means that the family operates as a we and not as an I. And by we means the we is actually another scam, because it's a we only when it comes to you. My parents say we as a family, which means if I give them, God forbid I stop having money and I need a dime from them, which is never going to happen. If I ever went bankrupt, I would just kill myself or kill other people. I mean, hypothetically, I'm not going to kill anyone, just saying. The we in that investment means I'm going to co-decide your life with you, but because I'm older, you're not going to co-decide with me. Because my parents have done so much shit that they never asked me my opinion for it, I mean as an adult, not as a kid, but if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile, and they're going to start saying, why this, why that? So, if you have this investment, and I'm not going to hear about what Confucius said 5,000 years ago, I'm sorry, I live in the 21st century, and we keep from Confucianism the beliefs that work for us, and we ignore the rest. You have to become an individual. Even if you don't want to get married, and you don't want to have kids, you still want human respect in society. No one respects someone who is co-deciding with their family, and they're essentially a glorified puppet. People will laugh at you behind your back. People won't respect you. Even people from your own race and your own culture will associate with you just to feel better that they are losers and you're a loser and you're all together in this. You have to have your right to be a man, and you cannot be much of a man without a dime in your pocket taking allowance from your mommy. Let's face it. And if people say I'm a gold digger, I don't care. I'm not saying you should become Elon Musk. I'm just saying you have to be able to have 6 months of expenses in the bank, because they say that it takes 80% of people a minimum of 6 months to find a job or to find a new job. So the first financial goal should be to calculate how much you need to survive as an individual in 1 month, multiply that by 6 and put it on a secret bank account that is going to be only in your name, not in your mom's name, not in anyone else's name. If you have a bank account with your parents there, you keep it, but never ever ever put money in there. They're just going to block it and cuck you again. After this happens and you start saving up the money, because usually, especially if you don't work or if you're a student or if you're on disability, it takes time to get that amount. In the meantime, you close your mouth and you do everything you can to improve your situation, which is things that I've said in previous videos. I'm going to say them again. If you have extra weight, you focus on becoming healthy. If you have no social skills, you focus on getting cognitive behavioral therapy or watching videos or listening to podcasts or reading self-help books. There is so much you can do. There is so much free stuff like online and no one is touching them. If you feel that you are a repressed alpha, if you feel that you're constantly angry at what's happening, that you want to be aggressive, that if your mom wasn't your mom, you would actually like beat her and teach her a lesson. I don't promote violence, I'm just trying to explain the feeling. Then you could be a repressed alpha. I would say go read the Red Pill. Go watch things like the Coach Red Pill. A lot of people say this is misogynistic. I'm saying not necessarily. The people who call it misogynistic are people that usually cannot do any of that stuff, that they were actually beta and they should be like reading beta related material, so they hate it. But if you are a repressed alpha and you find the Red Pill philosophy, it's like someone threw a fish from a fish tank into the ocean. You're just going to swim. So I don't worry about you about that case. But most of all, you have to decide that no matter what you do in life, the decision has to be yours. It cannot be anyone else's. A lot of people think that a beta man is something like a puppet, a scam victim, someone you can just walk all over. That's not true at all. For me, being beta has a different kind of power when it comes to men that cannot be as obvious as an alpha, but can be very destructive and very scary if used correctly. What are you going to say to me that, for example, the scientists who created COVID, because personally, my own conspiracy theory, I think COVID is a bioweapon. I'm not going to do political criticizing on YouTube about who and what, but based on the things that I know about virology and stuff, I think it's man-made. And I don't think the guy or the guys who made that virus in a lab were the 6 feet tall, like handsome men with a six-pack getting all the hot girls. Most likely they were a bunch of nerds in their formative years in high school. Aren't they scary though? They changed the path of humanity. Or the people who actually invented something, the guy who invented the first vaccine, like for polio, I don't think that guy was having like women flocking to him either. But he also changed humanity. One thing saves millions, the other thing kills millions. So if you are a more nerdy person, if you are more into technology, if you are more autistic, like I'm autistic and out and proud with it, that doesn't mean you are a loser. Most likely it means that you got scammed early in life, but the same people who got scammed by the life script by their own ancestors, and you've been paying the price ever since and you're not even aware of it. But no matter who you want to become, it should be your choice. That's what my channel promotes and a lot of people don't understand. The right to choose, which is something that we are losing in our time. If I had $1 every time a person messaged me with unsolicited advice on how to live my life, I would be a billionaire. I have people from all walks of life messaging me to say, don't wear this lipstick, don't wear wigs, wear more wigs, quit YouTube, start 3 more YouTubes, go back to college, you should never have been in college, like so much contradictory crap. And I'm thinking, what do you care? It's my life, I have my path, you have your path, and I don't even know you, and I didn't even ask you. So if people I don't even know are this passionate to control me, can you imagine how more passionate my parents are? I'm going to tell you something from my real life. My father was calling me on the phone, we are extremely low contact. Like my parents at the time, that you have to love them from a distance, like a couple of countries away distance, not just like driving distance. And he was mad at me because he was trying to extract some information from me that I need money. And I said, no, I don't. And he would say, let me just send you some money, like send you $1,000. And I said, no, thanks. And if you say, Persephone, why don't you want $1,000? Because it's like making a deal with the devil, they will hold you over your head forever. So I wouldn't even take it on my deathbed. And then he started to yell and say, everyone's kid, like all of our friends, adult kids, accept help, and you just have to be the abnormal again, you just have to be the prideful again. And all of his friends are narcissists, and the kids are millennials who work normal jobs and made fun of me for wanting to be self-employed, and now they went back with their tail between their legs. And he was mad. He was mad that he cannot control me with money. I want you to know that the people who strive to control others the most are the people who feel the most out of control. So your man or whoever is trying to control you, there's a pretty high chance that they feel lost. They feel that they are aging rapidly, they have wasted their lives, married to probably the wrong person, or someone that is not working out anymore. They feel that their life is over, that if they're over 50, how many years do they have left? And the unhealthy coping that they have is living vicariously through you, controlling you. And if you are a man, no woman is going to respect you and to go deal with it willingly, unless there is something wrong with her. Either she's victimized and controlled, or she's a scammer and she wants to exploit you in some way. So if you want to have any chance in love or companionship in every form you choose to, you have to start by breaking off that enmeshment circle. That doesn't mean going no contact with your mom or your dad necessarily, but it means contacting them on your own terms and say, Mom, I'm going to talk to you once a week, or Mom, I'm going to visit you once a week, but you cannot just show up at my job. You cannot talk bad to my wife or to my girlfriend. You cannot ask me intrusive questions like when we meet for Christmas and humiliate me. If you don't have money, you cannot set any of those boundaries. If you live with them and you don't contribute to rent and groceries, same. And I know it sucks, I know that the economy is bad, I know there are millions of unemployed people, but unfortunately it's a price you have to pay if you want to even have a shot in life. Otherwise, months will turn into years. The window of opportunity for you to find someone to date will close, or to be independent will close. And what will happen is that your parents are going to be very old and you're going to become the incel caretaker. And it's a forced caretaker. I should make a video about the incel caretaker at some point, and the horror story that I've shared it once in the past. I think not many people saw it because my channel was very small at that time. It's more of a horror story than this one. And this is a fate I wouldn't even wish it on my worst enemy. Like, personally, if my father passes away, as cruel or narcissistic as that sounded, I have said that to him. A lot of people are asking me, don't you worry that your parents are going to find your channel? I never say anything in public that I haven't said it to the person, or I wouldn't say it to the person face to face. I have this as a principle, and it's very protective when you have an internet presence. I told my father, you have to make sure you live many, many healthy years, because if something happens to you, my mother is going to spend her old age with her two best friends, alcohol and Xanax, and I'm going to be on a witness protection program, like this level of no contact. And it upsets him so much, and he says, what kind of person are you? Yeah, I'm a person that I'm not going to spend my best years taking care of a person who abused me in every way possible. So that's all for now. I hope this gave you something to think about. Essentially, what I'm saying is general guidelines. What I really want you to do, if you want some kind of quote-unquote homework, is to sit down with yourself and design your own escape plan. Every person is unique, so your escape plan will never be the exact same as someone else's, but the general principle is the same. We plan now because things are going to get out of control sooner or later, and only the well-prepared will survive. Okay, thank you for watching.